up. Get ready. It's going to be a very, very intense journey.
Begin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 41 of Frame Skip, your weekly video game news / topic discussion podcast. I am your host for the day, Austin Eller. I'm joined by the coach, Kyle Newman. How's it going, Coach?
The year's flying by. It's already halfway through January.
I know, we're halfway through May, and now we're halfway through November.
Right?
And now it's 2024. How are you, Coach?
Doing good. It got pretty cold this morning. We were in the low 20s, believe it or not.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Wow.
It's about that here, too. I think our high today, though, was still like 50, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
for January.
Yeah, screw both of you. It's incredible.
Oh, yeah. You're up in the Northeast, like by Russia.
I'm so far in the northern United States that I'm actually just in southern Canada at this point. That's how far up in it
What's
I
the
am.
weather like up there, George?
Oh no, I didn't leave the house today. It just looked cold from the outside.
Damn.
It looked like a Bob Ross painting with a strict emphasis on blues.
Let me ask you this. When does it start getting sweater weather for you guys?
Like chilly, or like it's warm enough where I only have to wear a sweater?
No, when it started getting chilly after, it's summer and you're like, all right, cool. It's Thanksgiving. So it's time to put on a sweater.
Usually October here in Maine.
Oh, really?
You got to start throwing stuff on like October 15th. Like usually Halloween is like ruined because like, you try to wear your costume as a kid, but it's just it's freezing out. So you got to wear a parka over your costume.
I feel like I run a little, I guess, hotter than most people. So like, I feel like once things are like in the 50 to 60 range, like I don't necessarily need to cover up that much still.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm okay with like a light jacket in that range personally. But like anything below 50 is like, okay, yeah, we can wear a sweater or like a heavier coat or whatever it may be.
You're such a baby. God.
Mid to high 50s, I'm in shorts most of the time still.
Yeah.
Hoodie, but I'm in shorts.
Yeah.
I'm a little self-conscious of my calves. I think they're too nice. I don't want to show them
up to the world.
Yeah, that's right. I have a partner. I don't mean to be disrespectful to her by just flashing the goods every time I go into a grocery store or a gas station. So yeah, usually
if we ever meet up, that's the first thing I'm going to ask is show me the goods.
Let me see those volleyballs you call calves. Yeah.
Speaking of the goods, you've heard the man with the goods. It's George Cam Newton Loftus. How are you doing, George?
I'm good. Let me explain to you why it's a positive that the Patriots did not make the playoffs this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to have a panic attack every Saturday or Sunday because that's a great change.
Yes.
Usually when the Patriots are in the Super Bowl, I don't sit down for 3.5 hours, but I do chain smoke, and that's not good for me on a health level.
Yeah.
So it's positive. It's self-care, really. That the Patriots aren't in the.
They're helping out their fans.
Yeah.
Help them stay healthy, stay mentally positive.
Yeah, it's great. Plus, it gives the Celtics an opportunity for their best players to all get COVID. So that's great. We wish you a speedy recovery, Jason Tatum. Love you.
Are you a Celtics fan?
I am. Yeah.
Oh wow, I'm a Lakers fan.
Oh wow! Congratulations. That was the only title that I actually think was like legitimate in the entire pandemic was the basketball title.
Yeah, because what was cool about it is there's no fans, there's no travel. It's just right there.
It's just who's the best at basketball. Yeah.
Yep.
But like they actually played a full season. They played it in a way that felt responsible. Whereas like baseball, like that was a joke of a season, man. Come on. Those 60 games, like get out of here. That's not
college football is ridiculous.
Oh my. Okay.
It's been ridiculous.
Congratulations to Alabama. State
yeah. Went to one of the playoff games and they've played 6 games this season.
Yeah, but to their credit, they did beat Clemson, so they deserve to be there.
Yeah, but at the same time, I forget what team it was, but there was a team that was like,
was it Texas A&M or something like that?
6-2 or something. And so, like, how do you make that distinction between a team that's 6-0 and a team that's 6-2? Like, it's so frustrating.
Well, it's like that. It's like, dude, Nick Saban had COVID twice, and it's just like, how many, like, we COVID hasn't been around long enough to like understand the full long-term effects of it being exposed to young people. So it's like, all right, did we just wipe out like an entire generation of talent because we had to have an NCAA season that like I don't count it. Like, yeah,
no, I didn't even watch it.
It was nice having like, oh, that's predictable. Like, oh, it's cool that Alabama won. We like, it's nice to think something could happen and then the thing actually happens. That was cool. But, like, I don't think this was a real NCAA season. I barely think this was a real like NFL season.
Nope.
Like Denver had to start a wide receiver quarterback. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
like,
that was rough. But they weren't going to make it to the playoffs anyway.
No, they weren't. But like, they deserved a shot. Like, you know, the Steelers Ravens game getting postponed because Lamar Jackson came down with COVID. It's like, all right, well, in that case, like you did it because he was like the former MVP. But like, why can't you do that for the Broncos? Like, I don't know. It just felt very favoritist, I guess.
Well, I wish we would have seen Julian Edelman as quarterback at some point. I wish that would have been a thing because I know that they were talking about that during the whole Deflategate thing.
He's got the highest. He's got like the highest QBR in Patriots history.
Does anyone want to talk about games they've been playing, or what are?
I want to hear about what you were playing, Austin.
Okay. So I've been playing Paper Mario 64. No, I'm kidding. I've been. I finally. Well, first off, I guess I didn't mention this either, but I beat Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity. I beat the main story in that. Aside from like the extra ending that you get after playing like 20 more hours, and I was like, okay, I'm not doing this right now.
20 more hours?
Yes. Yeah. And it's like it's super short, but you do get 2 new characters for doing it. So I do want to go back and do it eventually.
What's short?
The like extra ending, like the ending itself that you get is just like I looked it up and it was like, okay, yeah, that's all it is. And I was like, well, I'm glad I didn't spend 20 hours doing this right now. But I love that game. The ending was great. Curious to see what they do with Zelda next and if it ties in with that game. So,
well,
we'll see.
I don't know, because we had Cadence of Hyrule and then this game.
Mm-hmm.
And so in theory, Breath of the Wild 2 is like poised to come out this year, right?
I would think I would think there's some sort of Zelda content this year because this is also the 35th anniversary for Zelda is this year.
Right.
Yeah, but I just don't have faith in Nintendo actually doing something good regarding that.
They'll release Ocarina of Time and then pull it off the eShop.
They're so bad at anniversaries. Later. They're worse than every sitcom dad at anniversaries. It's embarrassing.
The 25th anniversary, all they had was the package, for the Wii, and it was like, well, aren't you going to do anything else? And then remember the year of Luigi? That was a joke, bro.
It was like, what was it? Dr. Luigi and Luigi's Mansion 2, and that was it.
No,
they had the
Super Mario Brothers U, like the like that was legit. That was legit good. That was legit really good. Hard as hell.
I haven't played it yet. I have the Switch version that has it included. But
it'll be available on Switch for 9 minutes in 6 months. So set your watches.
Way off topic, but anyway. Age of Calamity is great. I need to go back to it at some point. But because I beat it, Andie bought me Ghosts of Tsushima for Christmas, and I was like dying to jump into it. I was holding on to it until I completed Age of Calamity. So I started it probably. Was I on last? No, I wasn't on the show last week. So I probably started playing it prior to last week's episode, but I just wasn't on last week. I think I'm maybe 5 or 6 hours in so far, so not super far, but holy crap, what a game.
Right?
Like,
yeah.
Had I played that last year, it would have easily been my game of the year. And I'm only, like I said, 5 or 6 hours in, but it's like got me completely hooked. And which is, I feel like pretty special for me because it's been a while since an open world like game of like a pretty large scope has really pulled me in like this. I've been more into like the condensed kind of story, linear type stuff for the past couple of years, just because time and work and school and whatever it was. But this game is like it's got its hooks in me, and like I just can't stop thinking about it. I keep wanting to go back, and it's just everything about it is phenomenal. Like the combat, I think it was a couple weeks back, George, you had mentioned that it kind of does play like a PS3 era, like kind of beat 'em up, kind of brawler type game, and I can see that for sure. But something about it is still like so fulfilling to me.
Absolutely.
And the side quests are phenomenal. Like I haven't heard too many people say that. Maybe I people were talking about it and I just missed it. But I've played, like I said, 5-6 hours of this game, and I think I've done like 3 main story quests. Like I've been focusing almost entirely on these like long flowing side quests, and I really love how they do them, where they're kind of like arcs instead of like, oh, here's one side quest and that's it. It's like here's 9 side quests that all relate to each other.
Well, it's that and like the framing of each side quest. Like it really feels like each chapter, I guess, of a side quest, like it feels like you're just watching like an episode of television or something. Like it's just incredibly well constructed, beautifully set up, like just in terms of like the presentation of it, I guess. Like it's really special.
Well, and it was to the point where like I was kind of just playing and I didn't fully realize like the quests I was doing, and I was kind of just doing some quests that I was like finding. And it got to the point where I was like, oh yeah, I've done like a lot of these story quests, and then I realized like I didn't do any of them. Like I was doing side quests the whole time. So that really shows the quality of them. And for me, like I don't know that I can recall a game that has side quests that are like so compelling and interesting. Like I was doing the one with it's like the guy that is like some like bow and arrow expert or something, and he like trained his, I guess,
protege,
Padawan, but this is not Star Wars. Yes, his protege to like be an expert with a bow too, and she like kind of turned her back on him, and it was like just very interesting, kind of following that story quest, or that side quest rather, through.
That wasn't even the best side quest, and like I think that side quest is like masterful. Like I think that side quest is incredible, but like there's more people to meet on the second island. That's all I'm gonna say. Mm-hmm. And have you done like a legendary tale yet, like for equipment or anything, like armor?
Yes, I did. Oh shoot, I can't remember which one I did, but I did one of them.
Like the lightning duel, I think, is like one of the earliest ones you come across.
Yes,
yeah,
that's the one I did.
Those are phenomenal. Like those are just so cool. It just feels like, what if we got some hyper stylized, hyper personality infusion into this game, and just like, what if we just made our ideal samurai story here that really breaks from historical conventions, but it's just like compelling, interesting stuff. Like it's so good. It's such a good game.
Oh, and a slight spoiler, but the shot when you like finish that duel with him and you like do the move or whatever on him, and lightning comes crashing down and strikes him, it's like, what a game, man. Like the style of this game, phenomenal. And speaking of that, like if you look up close, like the individual graphics, like the textures and stuff are nothing crazy, but the kind of design, like the concept they had for how this world was supposed to look in their mind, I honestly think this might be the best looking game I've ever seen. And again, it's not because it's the textures are super high quality or look phenomenal. It's like just the lighting and the style and like everything that they want to portray with this game is like, it's honestly almost lifelike with the way that the grass moves and the light is portrayed. It's incredible. Well,
that, and it's beautiful how like you can set a waypoint on a map, and like that feels like an old time thing, but then like once you're in the game, you just swipe up on the trackpad to like see where you're supposed to go, and just the wind blows and moves the grass, and like the light reflecting on the on the grass is like, oh, that's where I'm supposed to go, that's the direction I'm supposed to follow. And it's not just like some flashing light on like the HUD or something, like it was just so smart the way they did it. Like they really took a step back and thought, how do we interact with our games, and what can we improve, as opposed to like, I still think the combat's a little sloppy. I don't think it's bad, but it felt a little unrefined and like a little unpolished, but everything else, like it just interacting with that game was so great. God, I love that game. I need to replay it. Everything
just feels so organic and
diegetic. Like it just sneaks in perfectly. It's so good.
Like I said, I don't want to go on too long because I know the game's been out for like 7 months at this point. But as somebody finally digging into it, and I'm playing it on my PS4 Pro. I'm not even playing it on PS5. I know it has that 60 frames per second mode, but it just looks gorgeous, and it's like I said, it's completely got me hooked. So I'm excited to dig into it more.
What's good about Sony is each generation, when you look back, there's always these high quality AAA titles that, you know, are exclusive to that system. Think of the PS3, how many there were. And now PS4, and I think more so the back half of that life of this last generation, some really good titles came out on that system.
Oh yeah, I mean, you look at God of War, Spider-Man, even Last of Us 2, Tsushima, just so many like incredible games. And so, you know, not to bash on Xbox, but there's just something about the way Sony produces and makes those games in such a, I don't know, exciting way. Like everyone gets into them, and
high dollar value. That's
story
what they are.
based and cinematic. Yeah, it's just obviously the people at Sony really care about a good story, and it seems like those are the kind of games that they want on their system and want to produce for their system. So,
and all along, everyone's saying, "Oh, people don't want the single player story anymore," but yet look what sold this last generation.
Right.
Yep.
So PS4 has some incredible games, though. I know at some point we're trying to do some sort of retrospective type podcast, so look forward to that soon. But in the meantime, follow me on Twitter at Austin J. Eller, because I've been posting Tsushima pictures every single day through this incredible photo mode that I can't get enough of. So that's my spiel on that game.
One final thing. What's frustrating is like the Kurosawa mode, the black and white mode is so cool, but you lose so much of the game's beauty in black and white. Like it's very stylistic and it's super cool. But like, man, like just the colors in that game. I feel like I haven't seen those colors in another game. There's one hidden field of just like purple flowers that you come across. And it's like, I found it like at night and I was just like, this is serene. Like this is
honestly the only game that I can kind of compare like the color palette to is Flower.
Yeah.
Like
that's a great point.
The way that game looks, and it's like amazing that they were able to pull that off in like this huge open world samurai game.
Also, have you fast traveled in that game?
No.
Try it, because it is lightning fast. It is so impressively fast. Like I think it's probably like an initial boot takes a while to get into the game, but then once you're in the game, like every time you die, you come back instantly. Every time you fast travel, it's like blinking. Like you don't have time to like even like sit up and take a drink from your water. Like it's just so quick.
Yeah.
It's
I noticed the
impressive.
dying thing, even on PS4, which is like insane. I don't know how they did that, but they did it. So anyway,
let me ask you guys this before we move on. Mm-hmm. When you guys are playing, and I know we all have different things going on, so some of us have more time and stuff, but how long are you able to sit down and game on average?
These days for me, like if I'm off, for example, you know, during the week it's a little harder because I get home at like 6:30, eat, and then I have to pretty much go to sleep by like 11 to be up on time. So I really only have like, you know, 3.5 hours every night. Most of the time, like if it's my day off, the most I can sit there and play is probably 2.5 hours anymore. Which is like way lower than it used to be. I used to be able to sit there and play for like 7-8 hours if I really wanted to, but I just can't anymore.
Sure.
How about you, George?
It really depends, and I think that's sort of changed some of the games I've been playing. Like I've been playing more arcadey style games, so I can like, oh, I've got 15 minutes. Okay, I can play 15 minutes of the game I'm going to talk about this week, or like Spyro or something. But I normally try not to sit down unless I can have like at least an hour.
Yeah.
Just of like me time, you know?
I'm in the same mindset. If I can't play something for like at least 45 minutes to an hour, then I just don't bother.
Mm. But, and I think that's why I got really into Spyro, because I'm like, okay, I can just 100% this world and then bounce,
right.
You know?
Right. What about you, Coach?
So it's tough. It depends, like during the week, like it gets kind of crazy. I will try and squeeze in an hour here and there during the week. And then if I don't have reserves, like I had reserves this weekend, so I didn't really have time to game. But this weekend, I want to dedicate 3 hours each day and try and get as far into Paper Mario as I can. But like, you know, it's a trade-off. Like if I get everything done tonight, maybe I could wake up early in the morning and game for an hour and a half, like a good 90 minutes or something like that, you know? So it's just, I have to like squeeze it in. So as much as I want to play like Spider-Man, like I'm dying to play Spider-Man, I have to tell myself, okay, spring break is really the best time that I'll be able to do it, because I could probably get halfway or 3/4 through. And then on the next couple weekends, I might be able to finish it, you know, something like that. So, but, you know, I'm thinking, okay, we don't really have anything till March, you know, and then I forgot about good old Mario next month, man.
3D World. Yep. George, what have you been playing?
I've been playing something that I think both of you would be deeply interested in. I've been playing Episode 1 Racer. The remake of the N64 and I think Dreamcast game.
Is it a remake or is it just a port?
It's like higher quality textures and stuff. So I guess I guess port is probably like more accurate.
Is it widescreen?
I believe so. Yes. Okay. I can't remember because I'm just so focused on the center of the screen. I've never played this game before. Like I played the arcade version.
Oh, really?
Played the arcade. Yeah, we talked about this on a podcast, right? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you did. You did.
And I played like the PS2 game when that came out to PSN, but this is my first time playing. This might be the best Star Wars game I've ever played in my entire life. This game is absolutely incredible. It is the most I've ever felt like a Jedi, just going 1,000 miles per hour on Malastare or whatever, and then just like lining up my perfect turn and like drifting around like a bend. It is so freaking good. I cannot get over it.
I remember there was this one level where you kind of go underwater.
Yeah. There's probably like 7 maps that are like just tweaked throughout. And you get like 3 Grand Prix that you can go through and then like a 4-course invitational. So I think altogether there's like 25 levels, I think, that you can like race through in tournament. And they're all sort of variations. Like the first Grand Prix is like the most straightforward, and then they just add sort of more wrinkles. And then by the time you get to the invitational, like the only reason I won one of the races was because like I got really good at using my brake, which like you would never had to use before in any of the levels. It's really good. It's a little frustrating. I still don't understand the upgrade system, and it's like the only trophy preventing me from getting the platinum right now. And I've beaten the game probably 4 times, like every single race, and I still don't have enough money to buy the parts I need to get that trophy. So there's like a cheat code where you can like enter a debug menu, and then I'm probably just going to use that and just abuse it to get the platinum. But
I would,
at this point, but like,
do it.
I don't even think I'm going to delete this off my PlayStation, man. Like it's so much fun. It's so much fun to play.
They didn't add in any like sort of multiplayer or anything, did they?
I believe there's multiplayer. I believe there's 2-player like local co-op, but I don't.
Okay.
I live with my girlfriend and my dad, and I don't think either of them are particularly interested in playing that. But it's so good. It's so good.
I remember when Limited Run did their thing with that game, and I didn't go with it because I bought I have it, and then I have a really nice case for it. But the cool thing about when you get the game on Limited Run, if you get the certain edition, you get like this really. It's a come on like a metal, but it's in the shape of the cartridge.
That's so cool. I regret not ordering this so much now. I regret. Yeah,
because I got Turok 1 and 2, and then recently I got there was another one. I think Doom 64 I got.
Hell yeah.
So when the Nintendo 64 titles start releasing, and if it's a game that I like, I'm just not going to buy any of them. I'm going to start getting that just because it's a really cool, like little collector's item. Yeah.
This game's incredible. And it really goes to show like, we got a surprise for like our feature and at the end of this episode, and we're going to talk about some stuff, but like, man, this game has done more like, I'm just so like, we talked about this recently. Like, I'm just so into Star Wars again. Like my hyper fixation is back. I've been reading all the comics, reading all the books. And like this game was just like a new thing that I'd never experienced before. And like, it actually just makes me feel like I'm in a part of Star Wars. Like I never really got to be a part of. Like, it's so cool to be in that universe without shooting something or without holding a lightsaber or jumping or anything, but it's just like, no, man, here's my little slice of the galaxy. Here's where I'm king. Here's where I need to be the best. And it was just so cool to do that without the dark side, God, it was great.
I haven't played that game since I was a kid, but I remember loving that game. So one of these days I'm going to pick it up. I don't know if I want it on Switch or on PS4, but
I go PS4.
Yeah, I think I probably will.
I think this is like with the last day it's on sale.
Okay.
So it was part of the holiday sale. It was $10, or sorry, the 20th. I think is the last day it's on sale.
Okay,
$10. I grabbed that. I grabbed Jedi Outcast. Like I just grabbed everything I didn't have before, and I'm just like committed. I'm like, okay, I'm going to platinum all these games. I'm going to get it done. God,
well, and one of these days,
so cool. Damn it!
One of these days, I need to go through and play freaking Republic Commando because I've never played it, and I've never played Rogue Squadron, any of them. So,
yeah.
Those are like must plays for me at some point.
Republic Commando is basically it's kind of like a light version of like Rainbow Six 3. Like you can issue really simple commands to your team, but it just feels good, man.
Yeah, the main thing you're doing is sending them to sniper positions, so that way you could do your things and then But yeah, it's good. I mean, like I play that at least once every couple years. Republic Commando.
Plus, it's like 3 acts, and like each act is like a 5-part mission, and it feels like a little mini movie almost. Like it feels like a special on the Clone Wars cartoon or something. Like it's
and the thing is they left it off where they should be doing a sequel. And what I was thinking the other day, how amazing would it be to do a sequel to that and have the Bad Batch come in?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
When
really
Respawn
cool.
announced they were making a Star Wars game, I just assumed it was Republic Commando 2. Because I mean, like their pedigrees in shooters.
Yeah.
And
I'm still shocked that they ended up doing a third-person lightsaber-based game instead of.
It's really good. It's really good, and I'm going to play it again on my PlayStation 5 now that getting ahead of ourselves.
No, it's okay because mine's downloading right now. So I threw my
All right, but Coach, what have you been playing?
I had a few hours to play Paper Mario, but that was earlier. That was right after our podcast, like Wednesday or Thursday. So
Gotcha.
I haven't really played much.
Well, since we're already somewhat on this topic, we're going to move into the news. Coach, do you want to talk about your story about Lucasfilm?
Right. So this is a good talking point because EA hasn't done the best with Star Wars games since they've gotten the whatchamacallit
license.
Yeah, the license. Okay. So we've had Battlefront 1, right? The first one. And it was cool at first, but then it died out real quick. Then we finally had a little bit of a story with Battlefront 2. And it just wasn't working. There's so much controversy with that game. And we talked about it plenty of times. And then, of course, Jedi Fallen Order, right? So now Lucasfilm Games is beginning a new era. Okay. Now, I'm almost positive 2023 is when the deal with EA is done. So we will get another Jedi Fallen Order 2. So basically, I'm just going to read this off of StarWars.com. It says, StarWars.com is thrilled to reveal that Lucasfilm Games is now the official identity for all gaming titles from Lucasfilm, a name that encompasses the company's rich catalog of video games and its eye toward the future. To mark this new era, Lucasfilm Games has launched social channels on Twitter and Facebook, which will deliver breaking news and more directly to fans. You can watch a special sizzle reel, blah, blah, blah. So basically, Lucasfilm Games is going to be the producer, I don't know, the publisher, I guess. It seems like what's going to happen is they're going to pick and choose, okay, we want this game, so who do we want to come develop it? Which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
I think we would have gotten more Star Wars games in the 8 years that we've been getting games. Or when did Battlefront come out? Was it 12 or 13? Or was it or 15?
I think it was 15.
Maybe it was 15.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I'm okay with this. At first, I'm like, okay, what are they going to do with this? Are they going to mess it up like the sequels? I mean, what's going to happen with it? But hopefully,
but there's nothing to mess up because otherwise they're not doing anything. So I'm stoked. I am beyond stoked.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what comes of this. I think, and it may already be coming into play a little bit with the Indiana Jones game that was announced today as well. But obviously, that's kind of a Lucasfilm title as well. But I'm curious to see what happens moving forward. I'm hoping that we get more story-based Star Wars stuff. As much as I loved the multiplayer in Battlefront, which I know it's not everyone's jam, but I did genuinely like Battlefront 2, and it did get a lot better.
So
I do want to go back. I do want to go back,
good.
George, just because you mentioned it. At some point we all need to go back and play that co-op mode because I never played it.
Is that the PvE?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like Republic Commandos or something, right? Isn't it?
I think when I was playing it, I played like the first wave, which was only like Republic era, and I think they've added the other two eras as well.
So at some point we all need to go play that because I enjoyed that game. But obviously with how well Jedi Fallen Order did, like I'm hoping we see some more stuff like that, especially with kind of the amount of Star Wars story content that we're about to get in the next 2 to 3 years with Disney Plus.
Not even that, but like Lucasfilm, I'm really excited for the Star Wars games, but there's so much more to Lucasfilm than just Star Wars games.
Yeah.
I mean, the announcement of Indiana Jones got me really excited because, like, Machine Games, I know, was it Wolfenstein Youngblood was not like the best received game, but like they're still a really good developer because New Colossus was great, New Order was great. Like they've got more hits than misses over there, so I'm excited to see what they do. Plus, I haven't really loved any Indiana Jones game I've played, so I'm excited for the opportunity to maybe love a new one.
Yep.
My hope with all of this, my initial hope is that one, we will get a sequel to Republic Commando, but more importantly, Lucasfilm will give Factor 5 money and say, start giving us Rogue Squadron games again, please. Because Rogue Squadron, as I know right now, they're still together. Or Rogue Squadron, Factor 5. Factor 5 is still together.
What blows my mind is that, like, we've gotten Star Wars Bounty Hunter, we've gotten Episode 1 Racer, we've gotten Super Bombad Racing or whatever, like the sequel was, or Sebulba's Revenge, Sebulba's Revenge. We've gotten Super Star Wars. Like, all these games are playable. Jedi Outcast. All these old games have come back, and like so many games have been released on like good old games. Like you can play like the original Rogue Squadron, like the N64 version. Empire at War, I think, is on good old games. I got Galactic Battlegrounds on good old games. They have
so much on there. The TIE Fighter games, the X-Wing games, they have all that stuff, yeah.
And so it's like, okay, how come we can have literally every game except the ones that people really, really want to play? It makes no sense. Like, and I understand, even if they could only bring it to Switch, okay, that's fine. But like, put it on Switch, man.
No, they would put it on the big ones.
I hope so. I hope they would. God,
because this wouldn't be a deal with Nintendo. This would be let's get it out on all systems.
Yeah. At some point, I want to pick up Squadrons because I haven't played it yet. But
it's usually on sale for like $20 too, like $25. I think that game's good. I think it's good. I don't think it's my jam.
Yeah,
just because it's like a little bit more technical than I think I want it to be.
Yeah, it is.
But I guess for me, that's what I want. But that's because I like really miss flight games. Like when Ace Combat 7 came out, that was like just mind blowing for me because it had been so long since we had gotten a game like that. So I'm hoping that Squadrons kind of fills that hole for me as well whenever I pick it up. But anyway, so cool.
Yes, very cool.
There's the Lucasfilm stuff. Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with it.
And real quick before we do move on I do hope that, because I heard someone say this, but they could make like the Filoni verse, the Filoni Favreau verse, or like the Marvel verse. They could do that with Jedi Fallen Order. I read somewhere where they were thinking about doing that, where they're going to be doing all these different games, but they're all going to be tied into each other. Maybe it was something else. I don't know. But for some reason, I thought it was with the Jedi Fallen Order.
Well, it'd be cool if they did that. I think at this point, like, I don't know. I'm just a sucker for Marvel. So, like, seeing what they did this past, 10 years was, for me, just mind-blowing. Like, the stories they were able to tell over, 20 movies, whatever it was. I would love to see, multiple Star Wars releases over the span of a few years as far as video games go. And they all kind of connect in some way or feature similar characters. Or
what was that mobile game they had that was like, I don't think it was Galaxy of Heroes, but it was like a third person action game that you could play on your phone. And
I know what you're talking about, but I can't think
before the EA deal, and then when the EA deal came out, they closed it down, and it was really disappointing because that game was legitimately fun.
I can't think of the name right now, but I can see it in my head.
Yeah.
I remember it.
That one was super fun, and 1313 has to be somewhere,
right? Especially when we have a show about a Mandalorian and we're getting a Boba Fett show. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
You need to release that. It would sell like crazy.
Well, how many games did they that they were working on that EA said, no, we scrapped it? 1313.
Even Tiny Death Star was like a fun mobile game, that was like you were just adding new levels to your Death Star, building shops, trying to get more people to live there. Like that, it sounds so stupid, and it was so stupid, but that was the only mobile game I played for 6 months, where I was just at a bar waiting for a friend. Yeah, okay, I'll throw 10 minutes into this.
Right.
And that game went away. That was so good.
What game was Amy Hennig working on?
That was
it
one.
1313, or was it another?
No, it was some other thing. I forgot about that.
Yeah. That one got scrapped and is being worked on again by EA Vancouver, I think.
Yeah.
Right? But they're trying to figure out a way to monetize it. But then after the success of Fallen Order, maybe they're we might have screwed up here.
Because wasn't it the Dead Space team?
Yeah, and now they're making their new thing that was announced at the Game Awards.
Right.
Right. So
I forgot about that game
EA really screwed up there, man. That was
There's 2 big games that they just canceled.
That would have been interesting too. I don't know if it would have been a horror game, but I will say, imagine a horror Star Wars game. That would be fascinating.
Well, you could do something where you have jump scares.
Yeah.
Right.
Remember that time they flew their ship into a giant space slug? Scary stuff happens all the time there. There's always a bigger fish. It's a scary place, the galaxy.
Well, speaking of big and scary, and we'll just knock my topic out quick just because I want to talk about it. Nintendo released this trailer today for Super Mario 3D World and /plus Bowser's Fury. I'm not exactly sure how to say it because it's a plus sign. So I'm just going to say Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, which is, in my opinion, one of the best Mario games, and cannot wait for it. But they showed off this trailer. Did you guys watch it?
Yes.
Yeah. Insane. Absolutely insane.
What do you think about the knowledge that a Mario game is going to feature a kaiju fight?
Yeah, well, it's like that, and Gigantamax rolled into one
right?
game. It looks absolutely insane, and I wasn't gonna buy that game. I really wasn't. I know someone who was doing advertising work on the campaign for that game, and I was like, oh yeah, well, I mean, they already released this game. I already played it, so you're gonna have to come up with something really creative to get the hardcore fans to buy it, because a lot of them have already played it. So thank God it's a Mario game, and everyone buys Mario stuff on Switch, and a lot of people who had a Switch had a Wii U. So your job's pretty easy, but it's going to take some convincing to get people like me. And then I see this trailer and I'm like, they did the convincing. They did it so well.
Well, I knew it was going to be a little different when they showed that first trailer, and they were kind of reluctant to show the actual new stuff in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing all this and I mean, it looks crazy. The worlds seem way more open compared to how they were in the base game, and maybe that's just like, trailer magic at work, but they seem like they're like actually pretty big levels, kind of more akin to like Mario Odyssey or something like that. So that looks cool, but man, like the way they portrayed Bowser, like this is just the coolest looking Bowser like I've ever seen. It's super awesome.
Yeah, I saw the trailer and I was like, how has Bowser ever lost to Mario? Like,
I know, right?
It's like if you had this in your back pocket the entire time, like, dude, how have you ever? Like, he's like 5'4" plumber boy. I'm not knocking anyone who's a plumber. My best friends are plumbers. That's true. But like, he is a 300-foot tall prehistoric turtle dinosaur. Like, he can spit fire. He can breathe in the vacuum of space. He does everything.
Yep.
How does he lose to Mario every time? It makes no sense.
And my question on this is, normally we would have gotten a mini direct on this, and we didn't get it.
Right.
And one thing about Nintendo is they bury things that are going good for them. Now, I don't know if it's because of COVID and the pandemic that we're in, but we haven't gotten a true direct in like 18 months. And
a long time.
And it's something like this that normally I would think Nintendo would be like, they would have something, even if it was just for 10 or 15 minutes, because didn't they have a direct for Pikmin 3?
I think
Did they?
So. Maybe. I don't really remember how they announced that game. I can't recall.
Yeah.
They were doing those mini directs. They did like one a month, like all through the fall, but like there were a couple that were just like, okay, this sucks.
Yeah.
But
I don't keep my fingers super close on the Nintendo Pulse. Like I like my Switch, but I don't I don't really play it that much, like I'll probably play this and then just put it back into sleep mode or whatever. But like have there been like Treehouse events? Like
I don't really think so.
Like
there really
live
hasn't
demos?
been much of anything.
If there was one for Smash Brothers not too long ago.
For new characters?
For the new character, Sephiroth, yeah.
Yeah, so they've been kind of doing stuff like that. But
yeah.
I'm trying to think, what was the last Treehouse that they did? It was for a pretty big game.
Animal Crossing is the last one I can think of. They did that for sure. They did like a sit-down kind of Treehouse type thing for it. I feel like they might have, I guess you wouldn't really consider it a Treehouse, but when Age of Calamity came out, it was around the time of Tokyo Game Show, and it was remote obviously, but they did like 45 minutes of gameplay or something, and like this live panel at TGS remotely. So I mean they've done stuff like that, but yeah, directs have just kind of been gone. So honestly though, I'm not too bothered by it. I'm kind of happy with what they're doing right now, just because it's like, when they announced Paper Mario, it was like you wake up one morning and there's a new Paper Mario coming out in 2 weeks. It's like, okay, I kind of like that. And then they did the same thing with the 3D All Stars, where it was like, I remember there was that leak that said the Mario All Stars Direct was coming, but nobody was entirely sure. And then it like just appeared that one day, and they were like, yeah, Mario All Stars out in 2 weeks. So I don't know. I kind of like that stuff, honestly.
But I miss the whole big direct, though.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, they were doing so good with it.
It was like a quarterly, like mini E3. So like I totally get why you missed that. But I feel like Inside Xbox has been slowing down too, right? Like that live stream, and then I can't remember what Sony's was called.
I don't know.
Yeah, right. I can't remember, and I'm like,
really don't know.
I'm a huge Sony
State
fan.
Of Play?
Yes, that is exactly what it was.
Okay.
Damn, like I can't remember the last one I saw of that. So it seems like everyone is just kind of keeping like their cards pretty close to their chest. But like
the last one I
gaming
saw
is up overall, like in terms of money being spent. So like,
yeah.
The last one I saw was when Sony talked like 10 hours on their memory card.
Okay.
Oh god, that awful like hour-long presentation by Mark Cerny that was like which is dreadful.
Well, because that was supposed to be the GDC talk, right?
Yeah. And they were like, the way they had hyped it up, they were like, this is our unveiling of the PS5. And it was like, no, guys, here's our unveiling of our solid state drive in our PS5.
So many people were like pissed off.
Yeah, I get it.
Our last news topic here, George.
Yeah.
What's coming out in March?
Oh, man, it's about friggin' time. Mass Effect Legendary Collection comes out in March. Supposedly. We'll see. It's up for pre-order now on, I believe, Amazon and Best Buy and GameStop. But This is the 4K HD, super pretty, fancy, Ultra HD Mega Wizard Edition of Mass Effect Trilogy. I believe it comes with all the DLC. Like, was it Fire in the Sky, right, for Mass Effect 1?
Yeah, I don't even remember. There were so many.
Pinnacle Station for Mass Effect 1.
Shadow Broker, I know, is one.
Yeah. Leviathan.
A lot of them.
Yeah. No, I'm very excited. I'm a little bummed because this means like I'm probably never going to touch my PlayStation 3 copies ever again, which means I should just give up on those platinums right now. But yeah, God, I'm so excited. I'm so freaking excited.
I'm excited, but as I said in the Slack the other day, if this comes out, I believe the leak was like March 12th or 13th, like in that time frame. I probably won't be getting it right away, only because Monster Hunter comes out like 2 weeks later.
Sure.
And that game is going to have my life for the next 6 months at least. So
what's really cool too, though, is like these are big games. Like the first Mass Effect is probably like a 30-hour game, but like Mass Effect 2 is probably like a 20-hour game, and Mass Effect 3 is probably like a 20 to 25-hour game. Like they're really big. I'm not going to pretend they're not, but like they also fly by generally pretty quickly.
Right.
And so it's not like a big commitment like a Final Fantasy 7 remake. I feel like that game was like in itself like 50 hours, right?
Oh yeah. And the thing I'll say too is, for me at least, I'm excited for this. One, because Mass Effect is one of my favorite series of all time, but two, because I never actually played any of the DLC at all in any of the games. So this is going to be a really good opportunity for me to play all that stuff. I know people speak pretty highly of one. It might have been Shadow Broker, and two, there's one that people say is like phenomenal. So I'm really excited.
That was Shadow Broker, Lair of the Shadow Broker for 2, and then Citadel for Mass Effect 3 was also very highly regarded.
Yeah. So, but for me, it's okay. You know, if it comes out in March, I'll probably pass on it till maybe summer, which is fine, because that means like at that point I should have a PS5 or something, and then I can really play like the, you know, real upgraded version. So
have they given a date yet?
It's speculation. This date leaked, I think, on multiple retailers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So
I just looked at on Amazon. I couldn't find anything about the game.
Yeah, it's not confirmed, but it sounds like this is going to be the release date.
Yeah, so. Only 5 years too late, but yeah, it's great.
I missed the boat on Mass Effect.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll be excited to get into it because, you know, it's space. So I
honestly, if you like Star Wars or Star Trek, like there's no situation in which you don't like Mass Effect as well. It's so good. It is so hard sci-fi, and it's just a phenomenal series.
Yeah, I was going to ask, I know you're big into Star Wars. Are you into Star Trek at all?
You know, in the 90s, I would watch The Next Generation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it. Now, I remember when I was younger, my parents, when my dad got home from work, he always watched the old school Star Trek when it was, you know, on the reruns and stuff like that. So, but I don't know. I just never got into it just because I was so hardcore Star Wars. But I will say this, the reboot that they did not too long ago, I enjoyed the first one.
Oh, the movies. Yeah.
Yes. The movies, the reboot.
I think Austin hit the nail on the head. Like, I think it is the perfect blend of big Star Wars spectacle and just like daily life Star Trek-ness that happens in this game. I think they found a really good balance, and it's just really thoughtful. Like, they have like this one species of aliens that like can't convey tone, so they have to like basically narrate how they're saying something as they say it.
Yeah.
And it's just, it sounds like, I'm sorry, Austin, for the swear, but it sounds like just posting were a species. Like it would just be this species. I think they're called the Elcor. Like it's just really like interesting and weird, and oh god, it's so cool, man. Like it is just such a cool world to get lost in.
And the characters are awesome.
Yeah.
Like all of them. They're all so cool. How can you not love Garrus?
You can't not love Garrus. How can you not love Liara? And it's just
right.
The entire game is contingent upon you making decisions, which I think is really cool. And why I think like a Mass Effect movie wouldn't work, because like part of the reason Mass Effect is so cool is the world, yes, but it's also because it's a world you get to shape. And when you take that agency away in like a book or a film, like it loses something about what makes it so special. And so like, you know, little 4-issue comics on like a certain character, like, yeah, that's pretty harmless, but like what's cool is the way you sculpt this universe, and that's just gone in some medium. So it's really special.
While it only has like 3 endings at the end of the series, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they changed it. Yeah, but I
never played that. Yeah, I didn't do the director's cut thing because I was happy with the way it ended for me.
I just remember a lot of people weren't, though.
Yeah,
for
some reason.
I honestly think like a big part of like what gave Gamergate like the confidence to be as crappy as they were, because they were like, no, see, we were right. Like we told BioShock the ending of their game sucked and they changed it for us. So like the gamers are smart. The gamers are always right.
It just, I mean, I've said it before, but it didn't make sense to me. Like I don't know, maybe I'm more open to that ending than other people, but like I thought it was fine. Like in fact, if you had never told me that people were mad about it, I would have never thought that sentiment. So
Mass Effect 3 is my favorite one, and everyone complains about the ending, but like the entire game is the ending. Like it's a 25-hour ending to the entire series. Like that's the whole point of the game, and I feel like everyone just sort of missed that for like the actual final decision you get to make, and it's really frustrating, man. It's like when people watch Fight Club and they're like, man, it would be so cool to start a Fight Club. It's like, actually, this entire movie was about how that's a bad idea. And so they just kind of like miss the forest for the trees, or miss the trees for the forest, whichever expression works there. And that was frustrating.
My favorite thing about Mass Effect, though, is the way that the stories connect. Like you'll do something in 1 and, 2 games later in 3, because you did this thing in 1, like this character's going to die. Like you really messed up bad in 1, which is what I did. So.
It totally feels like Billy Madison, where it's like, Steve Buscemi comes in at the end of the movie and like shoots Bradley Whitford or whatever, like at the decathlon, and then it just cuts to Adam Sandler. He's like, man, I'm glad I called that guy. And it's like, yeah, man, it's just the video game. It's just you trying to make the best possible decision, so you're in like a less egregious position when crap really hits the fan 2 games later. It's great. It's really special.
It's just like the ramifications. Again, like there's only 3 or 4 main endings, whatever it is, but there's still like story threads throughout that are playing off, and like you make one wrong decision, it's gonna have some pretty deadly ramifications usually. So.
My favorite character died in 3, and I remember like I had to give the okay for them to go off and die, and I just like put my controller like on the coffee table in front of me, and it took me like 5 minutes to actually press X to like let it happen. Then I like watched a scene play out, then I like paused the game, and then I like poured myself a bourbon with like a shaky hand, and like went on my porch and just like smoked a cigarette. Like, I can't believe I killed my best friend. To like, oh god, so good.
Yeah. So Mass Effect, masterpiece series, I think.
Thank God it's getting remade.
Thank God. After 7 years.
Yeah.
We're already on to the next system.
Speaking of remakes, really quickly, I think we can do this in a couple like 10 minutes maybe. I think we can knock it out. Mm-hmm. But we all assigned ourselves some homework, and we had a list of games that we wanted to share, that we wanted to get like the Mass Effect treatment. So we wanted to talk about what should be remade next.
Right.
And now we can cross Mass Effect off that list, and I'm very happy.
I know.
God,
it's exciting.
Great. So exciting. Also, 3 games for $60. That's a steal. That's great.
All right. So how many games are we talking here? Are we doing like 1 each, or are we doing a few? Because I have a few.
Oh, I've got like 12. And
well,
I'm not going to talk at length about all of them.
Well, George, go first.
All right, my number 1. this is like with the like I understand that these games are available on PC. I understand these games have probably had been modded heavily on PC. That's neat. I don't really have a PC I can play on. All I want to do is play a good version of Half-Life and Half-Life 2 on my PlayStation 5.
Yep. It's a good one. Because they released, what was it, Orange Box or whatever? Did that have Half-Life in it on the 360?
It did not have the original Half-Life, just Half-Life 2 and Episode 1.
So I guess there's really never been a way to play it.
It was on PlayStation 2 and I believe the original Xbox. But like even then, like those were very compromised versions compared to what happened on PC.
Right.
And man, I would just love to see like Half-Life Alyx. Like I feel like that series is like just being talked about in a way that it hasn't in a couple years. So like, yeah, why not cash in that Half-Life check while you can?
That's a really good one.
All right.
Yeah, I never played any of those games, but at some point I need to because I do want to play Alyx. But you want to just shoot them off, or you want to go one by one?
Yeah, sure. I could shoot off a couple more. A bunch of these, I'm just gonna like list them all because like the reason I want them is for like preservation's sake.
Right.
And I don't know how official this is, just because like. But all right, I'll just get to them. Crimson Skies, Morrowind, Jade Empire. So these were like classic Xbox games that I think were super ambitious for their time, but they really only exist. They exist now because of backwards compatibility. But like, I would want these to be like full blown remakes,
right?
And like, as great as it was that Skyrim came to Switch, can you imagine if like Morrowind came to Switch or if Oblivion came to Switch? Like, I'd almost be more excited just because it's been so long that those would feel like newer games to me than.
And they're not on everything.
Yeah.
Like Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
So Jade Empire, was that a BioWare game? I can't remember.
It was, yeah.
Okay. I don't really know anything about that one. I just remember people talking about it. So
is it also an RPG similar to Mass Effect and Knights of the Old Republic, where you choose you can make choices?
Yes, but it's a little bit more like action oriented than like Knights of the Republic, because like Knights of the Republic was just playing like D&D rules, right? Like wasn't that like 3rd edition or 2nd edition or something? Like in terms of like the actual like mechanics behind the scenes, it was turn based. Like I know that much.
I think so.
And so Jade Empire, like I haven't played it since college. Like I mostly watched my roommate play it because that was like one of his favorite games. But yeah, man, like bring that back, make it pretty, make it nice. Also, I feel like BioWare, like if they just go back and redo all the things that made people love them, maybe
people might love them again.
Yeah, people might love them again. Maybe they'll remember why people love them. Point. I don't mean to kick them while they're down. I'm sorry, BioWare. I platinumed Anthem. I had fun with it.
Oh God, you did?
I did.
Oh jeez.
Not only that,
I never played it.
I did it in 3 weeks.
Just because I want to know, what are your thoughts on that game?
A bunch of really, really good ideas that just did not come together in the best way.
So disappointing.
But interesting ideas, an interesting approach, and honestly, like I understand all these games want to like differentiate themselves from Destiny, but like I wouldn't be embarrassed about cribbing from Destiny because like I think they're doing it pretty well.
Yeah. Nice. Coach, what about?
Yeah.
Are you have more to?
Yeah, I want to hear from you guys though.
Coach.
All right. So for me, my number one game, and I mean it's not a big AAA, but I would like to see the original Legend of Zelda be remade in using the same engine and graphics style as Link's Awakening.
Ooh.
That would like I wouldn't cry I wouldn't break down and cry, but I would be close. Only because I have a soft spot for that game. For some reason my parents knew what games to get, Contra, Tyson's Punch-Out, and we didn't have to ask for them. They were able to get it, right? But I remember when I got Zelda and the box and just everything about it, or the cartridge and everything about it. Like my brother would play it before I got home, and then I would play it. We would like go back and forth, and we would race to see who could beat it first. And you go back now, it's hard game. It's a really difficult game. But to do it in the the engine that they used for Link's Awakening, that would blow me away, you know. Besides, you know, Republic Commando or Rogue Squadrons, I would love, and I thought about this. I think it would be cool if, and it won't ever happen, but if the original Donkey Kong Country games would be able to be remade in the same vein as Tropical Freeze and Returns. I think that'd be cool to visualize it like that. I really would.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, Tropical Freeze and the Wii one are so good. And honestly, if they just kind of took the level design of 1, 2, and 3 and, you know, recreated it in that engine, I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, and I'm just hoping that somehow Nintendo has the third Donkey Kong Country, you know, game. Because what has Retro Studios been working on this whole time? That has been a lot of years between the time that we found out that they're taking over the reigns of Metroid Prime 4 to the
Tropical Freeze.
You know?
What was that? Like 5, 6 years? Something like that?
It was a February game in 14.
Yeah.
14 is when...
And we just found out about Metroid, I want to say in 2019 was when they took over. So it was like 5 years. There was that rumor for a while that they were making that like Star Fox racing game.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's what they're actually working on at this point. I feel like we would have seen it.
That makes sense because in my head, Metroid, Star Fox, and F-Zero all took place in the same universe.
Yeah,
so, hell yeah.
I could see Metroid and Star Fox in the same universe.
Well, isn't Captain Falcon, isn't he also a bounty hunter? / race car driver?
I don't remember. I think he is.
You lightly touched. I want to see the original Metroid Prime remade too. Like, I think that game is...
That was on my list.
That game is beautiful. And I think it could be really special, especially like with the new lighting on these new consoles, like even on Switch, like you could do something really, really crazy and really cool.
Why not tell Microsoft, hey, look, you've been giving us some of your games, but you want to take 1 and 2 and 3 and do your magic and put it on the Series X? Go right ahead. Imagine that.
Well, I think that was like one of the downfalls of 3 and why I never finished it. Like Metroid Prime Corruption. Like I did not like the motion controls that I had to do. And that's why like I own the Trilogy remastered for Wii, but like, man, I would rather play that with a GameCube controller any day of the week.
Right.
Preferably one with a turbo button because that was how I beat it in college. It was great. Really made it a lot easier, actually.
So is that it, Coach?
Yeah, that's it. Those are my big ones.
Those are pretty good. I'm actually really impressed you didn't say like KOTOR, Rogue Squadron.
Well, everybody knows that I want that. I mean, I should probably say that at least once a month.
Sure.
Every E3, when we do our predictions.
They're going to announce it.
Yes,
Rogue
the sequel.
Republic Commando.
Also, I mean, hats off to Microsoft, though, for their backwards compatibility. Like,
yes,
it's incredible what they're able to do and like make the games run better. And like that's why like coming up like a full list was kind of hard. And like it really just makes Sony and Nintendo kind of like look bad, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's honestly, as much as I love, you know, my Sony games, it's part of the reason why I'm still tempted to get a Series X first is because I know that like there's such a massive library that I could play on that system.
I'm so happy with my purchase.
So
plus, I think Breakdown is one of the free games this month. The original Xbox game. That game's incredible. Yeah. Add that. Like that game should also be remade. That game's so good.
Is Gotham Racing on there on backwards compatibility too?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure about that one.
But that's like one of the frustrating things is like the limited scope of the backwards compatible games. Yeah. Let's see. I've got a couple more. And again, this is just because it's so frustrating to play these games. And like, I don't know if a remake is necessarily the right answer or just like a port, but like these games need to be like available in perpetuity because like I shouldn't have to dig up my Nintendo 64 to play Shadows of the Empire. You know, like I just shouldn't have to. Like that game was super important.
Yeah.
And it's Star Wars. And like you sold every other Star Wars game. So like make Shadows of the Empire available.
Yeah.
Dino Crisis. That game is locked to PlayStation 1. That's got to be the next remake from Capcom as soon as they're caught up on
good pick, George.
on Resident Evil. Let's see what else. F-Zero GX. That game should be a visual powerhouse on the Switch because it was a visual powerhouse on the GameCube, and it still looks really good.
Nintendo doesn't want money.
Eternal Darkness should also come out. I think it could be really fun if it messes with you while playing in like handheld mode versus like dock mode. I think that would be super cool. I think that would be awesome. Pokemon Silver and Gold. I assume that's going to be like the next in the Let's Go series.
Probably.
Wii Sports / Wii Sports Resort.
Dude. Right?
Yeah, it's got.
Why is that not a thing?
I don't know. It's got to come back. It's got to come back.
The thing is, people love those games. I know they're like or at least the first one. I know it was a pack-in game, but like I still feel like people, if they put that on Switch, people would still play that game like crazy.
Yeah.
So, and they re-released them on the Wii U with online support.
Oh, I didn't know
But
that.
you had to buy them like individually. So you had to buy like Wii Sports Golf, Wii Sports Bowling, and they were each like $10 packages or something.
That's really dumb.
It was dumb and it failed, but one, it was on the Wii U, and two, it was probably because they were, sold like that. But no, dude, the second they put those games on Switch, I would be there.
Yeah.
I love Wii Sports.
Yeah, the Wii was super special, man. And like, it's weird how like Nintendo just moved on from like what made it so special.
Yep.
I remember the first time playing the tennis.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, whoa, this is insane.
Next gen, baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it took me like over a year to finally be able to get those stupid Wii.
Yeah.
Like it was impossible.
I think it was about a year for me as well.
Yeah.
I didn't get one until like 2010, 2011. Like it took me that long to finally like have enough games where I'm like, okay, this, I can justify this. Okay, I want this. Like, and then finally pulling the trigger. Final game, weird game, but PlayStation 3 is just its own little island out there, and like nothing you can play. Sorry, you can't play PlayStation 3 games on like literally anything except a PlayStation 3, and I'm like terrified of the day my PlayStation 3 is going to die. 3D Dot Game Heroes, which was like an Atlas game that was like kind of like the original Zelda.
Yeah,
that game
I never played it.
That game was great. I can't believe they just abandoned that series. That game was super fun.
I remember everybody recommending that game, but I never got around to playing it. So
super hard, but super fun. And again, I don't know if like remakes or re-releases or like I don't know the right verbiage to use for this. But like I just want these games to be available. Like I hate that you have to have a artifact from 1996 to play a certain Star Wars game or like a PC.
Yeah, a couple of mine here are PS3 focused for that reason. I mean, with the cell processor, I get that it's like hard to move things off and like get them onto other systems, but like Infamous 1 and 2, where are they?
Yeah.
Tell
me the big one. I want the big one. Tell me the big one.
Metal Gear Solid 4. Where is Metal Gear Solid 4?
That wasn't what I was looking for, but I accept it. Yeah.
Okay. What's the big one, George? Because I don't know what the big one is.
Mag, baby. Bring back
dude.
Mag.
Well, I wasn't considering Mag, but now that you say that, I guess I didn't think about it since the servers have been shut down. But yeah, Mag in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
If I could choose any game to like instantly be brought onto PS5, with renewed servers, it would be Mag. It would be Mag.
Well, it's just like, how is the Metal Gear Solid Legacy Collection stuck on PlayStation 3, man? Like that's
like I know a lot of people, myself included, are still like frustrated with the whole like situation from 5 and Kojima and everything that happened there. But like I would still buy, the Legacy Collection or whatever it is on PS5 or even PS4. Because I just don't want to go back to my PS3 to play those games, and that's the only way you can play 4. It's only on PS3. So
yeah, it's
there's
like
no other way to play it.
And Peace Walker, I think you can play Peace Walker on Xbox One, right? Like that's part of the collection. Okay,
I think so. So those are a few of mine. This is kind of in the weeds. I don't think you guys have played this series, but Ace Attorney, they did the trilogy, which is 1, 2, and 3, but they didn't touch 4, 5, and 6. So like, where is that?
But that's Capcom, right?
Yeah.
they've done a really good job of like releasing collections of Mega Man games I'd never even heard of before. So like I have to assume that one is maybe in the cards. Like I think that one's more likely than anything else we've listed today.
I think so too. I think it probably is coming. But yeah, because I didn't play 5 and I played a little bit of 5, but not too much, and I never touched 6. But it's because they were on 3DS, and like I think the Switch was already out at that point, and I was like kind of over the 3DS. So I'm hoping that those are on the way. And then lastly, because I'm hoping it comes out this year, is Skyward Sword on Switch.
That's a good one.
So those are my picks.
Are the motion controls on Switch any good? I haven't really played a game that's had to use them.
Depends on the game. The biggest problem is because there's not like a sensor bar. There's no way for them, like the motion to stay like constantly calibrated. So it's kind of that situation where like as you're playing, like I guess most of what I've played uses like a cursor.
Mm-hmm.
And so that cursor will like start drifting away, and then you'll have to press like a recalibrate button on the controller to like put the cursor back to the center of the screen, which is a little frustrating.
Wasn't that how not Animal Crossing, but Pikmin 3 was?
Yeah, Pikmin is like that. And Mario Galaxy as well for the star bits or whatever they were. So, but
I guess in theory they could release like a USB sensor, right?
Probably. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, though, I think they could figure out how to get Skyward Sword working without motion controls too. Like, I think there's got to be a way to implement. Like,
that was frustrating. Yeah, even with Motion Plus, like I felt like I was constantly recalibrating my controller.
Right. So we'll see, but I know everybody's been theorizing that it'll come out this year, because it supposedly leaked a while back, but I don't know. We'll see.
It's going to come out when Metroid Prime Trilogy comes out on the Switch.
So never?
So never.
Never. You remember that, what was it, like 2 years ago at the
Game Awards.
Video Game Awards?
Yeah.
I didn't care about any of the awards. I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. I'm like, oh, hell.
So frustrating.
Yeah.
It's weird, too, the things that give you hope, you know? Like,
yeah.
Like Marvel Ultimate Alliance came out, so I'm like, oh man, maybe X-Men Legends will come out. Of course not. Of course, those games will never be remade or like ported to modern systems. Why would they? I'm an idiot for thinking that. Every single PlayStation 2 Star Wars game came out. I'm like, oh, well, maybe the GameCube will. Absolutely not. Of course not, you fool. Like,
the game everyone wants? Oh yeah, we're not going to give it to them.
That's too obvious.
Yeah. We don't want to make money.
Gotta play a little harder.
Why would we want that?
Yeah. Money in this economy?
In the year of coronavirus, who wants money? All right, guys, we'll wrap it up there. I know George has got somewhere to be, so we'll get
Dragons
out of
and
here.
Dungeons.
Yeah, I think I got a friend moving to the UK, so I don't know if this might be his last session. We'll see.
Oh, geez. Well, tell him goodbye for us. I don't know his name, but tell him goodbye.
Yes. Safe travels, my friend.
I'll let him know. Thanks, guys.
As always, Frameskip is available on practically everything, but you probably already know that since you're listening to us and you've gotten to the very end of the show. So if you are listening to us, though, on a platform where you can review the show, please do so. I know, obviously, Apple Podcasts is one of those. I think you can do it on Stitcher. There might be a few others, but please, if you're listening.
I listen on Overcast, and it's great. I recommend that for iOS users.
There you go. Overcast. Better than Apple Podcasts.
It is better than Apple Podcasts. That's why I stopped using
George
Apple Podcasts.
approved.
Yep, buddy.
If you want to send in questions to the show, we didn't have any this week, but you can fill out the question form at bit.ly/frameskipq. That's bit.ly/frameskipq. You can also send us an email at frameskippodcast@gmail.com. You can send us those questions also on our social media pages. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at frameskippod or facebook.com/frameskippod. George is on Twitter at GBLoftus. Coach is on Twitter at frameskippod. Seth is on Twitter at Seth S. Taylor. Elijah's on Twitter at Local Lizard Man, and I am at Austin J. Eller.
Did you memorize all that?
Oh yeah, that's memorized.
That's impressive.
No,
it's not. I read it off of this Google Doc.
You're so good at reading then. Like it sounded good.
Like you're a producer of a radio station or something. I don't know.
Yeah. God forbid I work in radio. That's it for this week, guys. We'll see you next week.
I only swore once.
Thanks for listening. Catch you later.
Peace.